Hey there, guys. This is Christy Lewis. Today, from Dostoevsky in Space. Today is the 3rd of August. So it's a Saturday, and I've finished a couple things since I did my wrap up. So wanted to tell you what those were. And then I will come to you again later in the month when I've finished more and I'm ready to talk about my TBR. So one of my lights also burned out. So hopefully the lighting doesn't change too much in a bad way. So first of all, I want to talk about Family Work by Wendell Berry. This is in his collection. It's in 2 of his collections, but the collection that I have is a World Ending Fire. Yeah, The World Ending Fire is the collection of essays that I have, which is like his best essays according to this editor, all grouped into one. And so I've been reading these essays about farming with Faith, from Faith of Books for Sustainability July, which was last month. So we read these 2 essays last month, and we were supposed to read the 3rd one, but I slowed everything down. So we haven't finished the 3rd essay yet. But the first essay was so good. I wrapped that up last month. And so I wanted to wrap up this one because I filmed my wrap up before finishing this one. So Family Work, really, it's about how we should be providing the option of small farming families again to our young people, which I've heard that homesteading is growing in popularity among younger generations, so maybe this is actually happening. And this essay was written, not like recently. It was written in 1980. So I think we've seen some progress and some changes in a positive direction since 1980 in the way of like allowing people to kind of choose like small, local, organic, those kinds of options. At least in California, it's those options are available to us. We go to a butcher who gets his meat butchered locally. We live in a farming area. We can get fresh eggs really easily. So, I think that we've gotten better at this whole idea of smaller farmers providing better quality ingredients and food to the families. So I feel like that's improved actually since he wrote this essay probably. And there's still definitely people still go for what's cheapest, what's most convenient, absolutely. However, there now is an option, whereas I feel like maybe in the past there wasn't when he was writing. It doesn't seem like local, organic, fresh, straight from the farm was an option. So it's kind of cool seeing the changes that have happened. And his argument in the last essay was that farming equipment did not produce better quality food. So in this one, he talks quite a lot about public education and how he thinks that public education, television, oh yeah, I was gonna do my nails. I totally forgot. So basically, he thinks anytime something is like a factory production style, it's gonna be less quality. That's actually a term I got from Faith, not from Wendell Berry. When we were talking about homeschooling, because I knew that she had homeschooled her kids, and so she kind of explained why that was. And her reasons totally made sense. And she said the public school system is kind of like a factory system where we're churning things out, en masse, regardless of quality. It's happening quickly. It's all standardized, etc. And she's like, not every family is going to be able to do what I did. We had the finances to be capable of that. Not everybody has those kind of finances, So pretty cool talking to her about this. And yeah, a lot of my reading is kind of like ending up in this place where it's examining the way America has chosen to do a lot of things like the public school system and kind of criticizing it. So really, really interesting to hear from his perspective. I think it's really well put. And he's like realistic about it. He's like, if you raise your kids on home cooked food, you don't send them to public school and, you know, you don't have your TV on 24/7, of course, what are they going to want to do? They're going to want to go to public school and eat hot dogs and drink Coke. And they're probably going to be wanting to live away from your house. Like that's like the nature of childhood. You kind of want novelty, you know, unlike everybody. So he's like realistic about this, but also like he thinks that there should still, you know, we should be able to offer this option to our kids and show them how to do it in case that's what they want to do. And some of Faith's children, 3 of them, I think she said, have gone on to teach, you know, in schools. So obviously they didn't all become homeschool parents. So very interesting discussion. I always enjoy reading with Faith. It's always like an eye-opener because I just feel like we've had very different life experiences. Next, last night I finished First Test. This is the graphic novel version of Tamora Pierce's Protector of the Small Sphere series, which I've described quite a lot recently in videos. I really love the series. This is my favorite of her series, and I'm so pumped that they're being made into graphic novels. I keep waiting for Tamora Pierce to release more books in like the Numair Salmoulin series, and it just hasn't happened. And in fact, the first book I didn't enjoy as much, so I just feel like I used to like her writing better back in the day. I just liked it better, but they did have Numair was in here. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Numair. This is not how I pictured Numair. But there's like some artist notes in here on the different ways she thought about, like, he looks so young. I mean, I guess he probably is fairly young, but I always pictured him as like older. But anyways, yeah, so that's Numair. Really gorgeous illustrations, honestly. I really like this. The artist's art style. Is it Becca Farrow? I think Becca is the artist. Becca Farrow. Following Caladri, the first female knight going through the government's system of knight creation, because she kind of was raised by a warrior mom and wants to become a knight. And the realm has recently made it legal for women to go through the system to become a knight. And so this is when she's in her first year as a probationary page, which they put her on probation because people aren't sure that a woman can thrive in the environment of the palace, you know, as trying to become a knight, like that whole system. So yeah, really, Kella's like really refreshing. She's just a really hard worker and she has a very steady personality. So, and I like steady as a personality. I really admire her. She has the the first series, the Alana series, Tamora Pierce was trying to do something different. You know, she was putting a very emotional woman who is also like a hero in the forefront. And I think she did a good job at doing that. But Kel, for me, is a lot more even keel. And I just really enjoy her and her story. She doesn't have a magical gift. You know, there's nothing special in that way about her. But she has this certain steadiness of mind, even in like intense situations. Like she's very calm and she knows exactly strategically what needs to happen. She's just really fun to follow as a character. So I'm really excited for the rest of these to come out. I think it was really well done, the art style. I loved that it was like white. All of the panels were bordered in white, so it just felt like very light and open, and I really enjoyed it a lot, and I can't wait for the next one. So well done. And if you find yourself like some of the transitions are a little bit confusing, there's a lot that's not explained. It's just kind of thrown on the page, and if you don't get it, go read the novel, you know, that kind of thing. So I would say if you're finding yourself wanting more after reading this first book, I would say definitely go try and read the original books, and because the original books are not graphic novels, they're much more expansive. I'm really excited and happy that this series is getting new life, and I hope that means a whole new generation of readers can enjoy Tamora Pierce. Next, The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. This is the third book in the original Mistborn trilogy, which we're going to have a live show for on tomorrow, Sunday, August 4th on Tiffany's channel, so I'll link that down below. And I was just listening to the very last 3% of this while I was getting ready to film this and to go out. We're gonna go shopping, and I was crying. The ending is like, oh, it's so intense, but it's so good. It's like super epic. I feel like Brandon Sanderson definitely had a plan going into this, and he accomplished that plan. I just was so amazed by how all of his planning came together in the end. Like, there's stuff from the first book in here that you're just like, wow, that was a part of the plan. That was there. And the third magic system, hemalurgy, is like the most interesting to me for sure. So there's 3 magic systems. I talked about them in the last one. There's allomancy and ferrochemy and hemalurgy, and this one really explores hemalurgy, and it also plays a role in, you're still discovering things. That's the interesting thing. You're still discovering aspects of this magic system, just like scientists today are still discovering so much stuff. And this kind of journey of discovery throughout the Mistborn series as a whole is really fun. And you're left at the end of this with like, oh yeah, there's more to discover still. And there's always another secret, you know? So yeah, so good, so emotional. Maybe this one is my favorite. Honestly, I really enjoyed the second one as well a lot though too. I think this one was a 5-star one. I think the second one was a 5-star one. And the first one, like maybe 3 or 4 stars. So it definitely improves. So philosophical. Yeah, I'll probably have more to say after I review my notes, but I didn't have time to do that today. So just wanted to say you finished it, and I hope you'll check out our live show, and I'll come back to you with some more later in the month. I've totally spaced. I brought the wrong book over earlier, and so I forgot to wrap up A Crane Among Wolves by Junher. This was like half the reason why I was filming today. So anyways, this is a young adult mystery set in Korea. Is this set in Joseon? I forget what year. Yeah, 1506 Joseon time period, which is a really long time period. I really enjoyed The Red Palace by this author. And I feel like her setting detail and her openings are really strong. Like, she has a really good mystery concept in these. And same in every book that I've read by her, there's like a really interesting opening and concept. However, these are more about plot than about character and about historical detail and historical setting than character or writing. I would say it's like probably 50% about the plot, 30% about the setting, 20% about character, 10% about writing. So that's kind of like the breaks for her works. And it worked for me with The Red Palace, I think because I read it really quickly. But this one I had a little bit of a break between starting it and then restarting it. And it really, the momentum, it didn't carry me through, and I ended up DNFing it around like 47%, like right around 50%. So unfortunately, this one wasn't for me, but the plotting, I've talked to several other people, including about other books that she's written that I have DNF'd. Like, I also DNF'd The Silence of Bones. And I know Crystal really enjoyed that one. I couldn't remember which one it was at first, but yeah, it was The Silence of Bones. And so I think, and Joanna, who I was buddy reading this with, rated it 4 stars. Like, overall, she kind of curved, it was like a 3.5, like a little above a 3.5, and so she just raised it to 4 stars. So definitely it can be enjoyed. You know, I know a lot of people who really enjoyed it, but for me, there just wasn't enough character work. I felt like it was kind of inconsistent and unbelievable. Like, the main character was extremely unlikable. There was like nothing to like about her, in my opinion. And yet people were just like, oh yeah, I'll train you as an investigator, you know, so that you can find this serial killer and save your sister from this evil. I mean, it's like really a complicated plot. And the characters were just lining up to help her, you know. Somebody else was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna treat you like family, you're gonna stay at my inn, and you know, like, it was just like, why is everybody being so nice to her? Like, she's so mean, she's so rude to them, and she's on her own redemption arc though. I think probably by the end there's a redemption arc. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. I really did not connect with the characters, and I was really bored. So that was my I had high hopes for this one because, and Yoon also really loved this. Yoon from Dokja Yoon. So it sounds like I'm the odd one out. So if you would like something pacey to read probably pretty quickly, and you're interested in the Joseon time period, and you really like historical fiction, maybe historical mysteries, then this one could really be for you. Maybe is it more of a thriller than a mystery? I don't know. There's definitely a mystery plot. I don't read enough thrillers to really say, is this a thriller? I don't really know, but yeah. That's A Crane Among Wolves. Hey guys, it's Sunday, August 11th, and I finished a couple of books, so I wanted to update you. I've also been working on my shelves, so they're not done yet, but they're a bit... I'm working on them. Maybe I'll do like some sort of shelf tour once I'm done. I have to do it in stages because it's a big job. And I'm trying out a freckle pen. Let me know what you guys think. Freckle pen, does it suit me? Is it too dark? I don't know. Did I do too many? I had so much fun with it. I've always been really jealous of people with freckles because I think they're the cutest. Kevin has a lot of freckles and I love it. I live for it. So, but ATs did a photo shoot where it was all like pinky and they had freckles put on their faces and it was so cute. So I had to try it out. Yeah. So anyways, there was something else I wanted to tell you too. I don't remember what. Oh yeah, I'm also growing out my bangs. So we'll see. Month to month, you'll be seeing my hair looking different unless I change my mind. I don't know. It's in the in-between stage now, so it's a bit rough, but I'm doing my best. Anyways, so what I finished, first of all, I'm very excited to announce that I finished the Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu, which who knows who that really is. Murasaki, the name of the author on this book, is actually just the name of a title character. The main female character of the book is named Murasaki. My rating basically stayed at a 2-star from like start to finish, unfortunately. There were a few moments where I was like, 3-star, getting close. Unfortunately, it didn't end up rising above that. It was just like unpleasant to read. I feel like it probably went as far as it could, criticizing the male behavior, just by exposing it. Honestly, probably for the time that this was written, in Heian, Japan, even exposing the male behavior to the public gaze, showing things from a female perspective alone is probably about as critical as she could get. Unfortunately, that's not very critical, because probably this survived because men decided it was a great story to survive. I don't know why, but men do seem to really maybe enjoy it more than women. Most of the female readership that I know of didn't enjoy this. Probably women of the time were like, this is revolutionary, it's sharing our perspective. So from that sense, I could see why a woman might really enjoy this at the time that it was written. But it is not really enjoyable now because now women are more empowered. Women don't have to praise the beauty and nobility of their rapists anymore just to be heard by the court of public opinion. So yeah, very cringe, like all throughout very cringe. Not hard to read in any other ways. Like it was an easy read as far as like translations. Both of the translations that I read, actually all three, I dipped into three different translations. And I thought, well, actually this one, which one is this one? I liked the one that I listened to on audiobook, which was the Washburn translation. That was a great translation. Very easy to listen to, but very repetitive. Like women, all of the women who got mad were called adorable, and women were mad a lot. There was a lot of angry women in this book, which was great because they were being treated terribly. They were being very mistreated. So I'm glad that we got to see the females being angry about their mistreatment. But then all of the male characters like consistently would call them adorable, and it drove me crazy. That may seem like a small thing, but it was very patronizing to me. It seemed very patronizing. So this is the Edward Seidensticker translation. I liked this one. There was another one that I was reading from Gutenberg. That was the one I started with, but it's not complete. The edition on Gutenberg is not complete. That one was a little bit rougher, I would say. So, and it's not complete anyway, so I wouldn't recommend the Gutenberg translation, whichever one that was. But anyways, yeah, I would say it could have been a 3-star, but ow, sorry. There was somebody on our live stream. We just finished up the final live stream on Naomi's channel. It was a really fun live stream because all 4 of the co-hosts were there. Victoria was in the comments saying, I think I'm DNFing. And Tiffany and Naomi and I were all there kind of sharing our opinions. And then there was another YouTuber in there. Nicole was her name. I can't remember her channel name, but I subscribed instantly because I really appreciated the thoughts that she put out there about the Tale of Genji. So definitely go check out that live stream if you're interested. Where was I going with this? Anyway, her thoughts were really helpful. She commented that possibly all the women who were attacked by spirits and then who were, like Tiffany pointed out, they spoke their truth, you know? They were like, this is why, you know, this is vengeance on this male character. This is why your love is now suffering. It's because of something the male character did, you know? And she was saying that might be like kind of the female vengeance coming out. And I actually agree with that. I think that the author did that intentionally, but Nicole pointed out that might have been not just a literary device, but maybe like women of the time maybe would use this supposed possession to kind of air their grievances, you know, kind of thing. A power play, that's what she called it. And I thought that was a really good point. I think that the author was using the spirits as kind of the voice of women, female power in this story, because Genji, who all of the women hate, and maybe even the author hates, it's a little hard to tell because she keeps praising him for his beauty and his wealth and stuff like that. And, you know, in his later life, his generosity, oh, he's such a faithful friend, and, you know, all this stuff. So it's hard to tell what the author really thinks of him. It's very muddy, you know, very muddy. But I think that the spirit of jealousy that is attacking him at one point in this story for the way he treated women in the past is like, definitely that's the author casting judgment on him. So anyways, yeah, I think even though this was horrible reading, like it's really not fun to read because you get so much from the male perspective as they are like sexually assaulting women over and over and over. It's just like cyclical from generation to generation. All the men are literally sexually assaulting women. It's not really fun to read from their perspective and have so much of the book from their perspective. You know, there is like the women get a voice, but the men get probably more of a voice, I would say. So yeah, very mixed feelings on this one, unfortunately, reading it from like a gender point of view. Historically, if I was reading this in a class with a professor and we were like listening to the music of the time and learning about the instruments and, you know, about, you know, it was this is a court woman, an unnamed court woman is writing this. And so it's basically like, this is what my job is like, you know? So historically, there's some interest stuff, religion-wise, it was really interesting. Like she was definitely making some statements about the religion of the time. It was like a Buddhism. So yeah, really, it was interesting. There was interest. And I bet if I decided to go read a Japanese history, which not gonna lie, I would enjoy a history way more than I enjoyed this, but it would take longer and it would take a lot more work. So I think if I do end up reading a Japanese history, which I would love to do now, I'm going to be better prepared because this really, I feel like populates your head with characters and mindsets of the time period. So if you are like really interested in Japan, that's the person I would recommend this to. If you're really really interested in Japanese history, if it's like a casual interest, which is kind of what my interest, like I'm a Korea boo, honestly. But I have a casual interest in Japan because I really do enjoy some of their pop culture. And their history is fascinating. Like, yeah, but, I don't actually know that much about Japan. So for me, this was mostly off-putting and distressing because the character relationships are so distressing. Not a good experience. But if you are a person who thinks they could probably enjoy, like, it might be considered an anti-hero novel. It's just, I don't think it was done. She was not capable of doing an anti-hero the way I would like it to be done, which is so that it's very clear that this author is like exploring but also not approving of the main character's actions. She wasn't capable of doing that probably at the time. But if you can kind of overlook that, and if you can overlook how the relationships are, you might really actually enjoy this. I know several people who did, men mostly, who did. So there's a great review, by the way, of it on Goodreads. I'll link it down. I'll put it down below if I can, the name of the person who did it. I appreciate you for sending me your review, because it was very detailed about why he enjoyed it. He was like, I like it because it's kind of melancholy, and I like melancholy books. It is super depressing. It's very not happy. I definitely have to say that. So if you like a melancholy book, this one could be for you. So I hope that it kind of explains overall. I really ranted a lot about this book. I think though, because it's so long, the experience lasted so long, and that's why I ranted so much about it, is because I spent 80 hours listening to this book and reading it, which probably more than that. That's a lot of time to spend reading a book that you're actually hate reading. So, but it was 2 stars. Like I said, the character psychology was really, that was probably the most interesting part. The religion, so yeah, there was good stuff about it. It just 80 hours, 1,300 pages, too much. Okay, moving on. I finished Paige, the Protector of the Small, book 2. This is following Elodie of Mindolin, who wants to become a knight, and she is now in her 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year in this book of being a page, and it's really entertaining. So much happens in this book. I forgot how funny there were. Kel has this really kind of flat humor. I don't know if it's dry. I don't know. But she has emotions, but she has them so under control because she spent some time in the equivalent of Japan. It's really funny. Her interactions with her friend Neil, who is the total opposite of her. He is a very, cannot have a thought cross his mind without it coming out of his mouth. And fortunately, all those thoughts are funny. Unfortunately, as a knight in training, you're supposed to be more respectful. So he gets in trouble a lot for his words. Their dynamic is so fun. The character dynamics of this series, so super, super fun. And a lot happens in this book. Elodie is growing up. She has her first crush, so she's 11, 12, and 13 in this book. And her body is developing. I mean, it's very female centric, I would say. I wouldn't say that a boy wouldn't enjoy it, but honestly, give this to your girls. These books were so inspiring to me growing up. They made me into a long distance runner before I got sick. I wanted to be a long distance runner because of Kel. I was I want to be a female knight. So she still inspires me, and I think that's why I reread this series all the time. And it's called Protector of the Small because, I don't know if you can see, there's a dog on the cover and there's some birds on the cover. Animals are there's a lot of animals. They're not talking animals, but they're very smart animals because there's a wild mage at the palace when Elodie is there. And there's a whole nother series about that wild mage, which I love. That's my 2nd favorite series by Tamora Pierce. But in this book, Elodie just grits her way through everything with no magical gift. And she protects everybody who doesn't have protection. She takes a maid in this book who is just constantly harassed by men because she's very pretty and very shy. And so their dynamic is really interesting. I think an adult reading this for the first time might be kind of might have problems with it, because Elodie feels like an old person, you know, in a young person's body. But I know kids who do have that kind of sense. So it's not like out of the realm of possibility for a kid to be that sensible. But she is like incredibly sensible and almost never acts like a kid. So I can see why an adult reading this might be like, hello, is this realistic? No, it's not. Who cares? She's gonna be like a knight hero. Do we need this to be realism? I don't know. I really am enjoying the series though, reading it. I just got the third book to continue reading at nighttime. It's a little bit too exciting to me to read at night, honestly, because I love them so much. But I will come to you with some more updates when I finish some more books at the end of the month. Oh, there is one other book though that I'm working on, and I don't know that I will finish it. So I just kind of wanted to talk about it here. It's called Kingdom of the Cults. And what I really need to do is I need to research the Jehovah's Witness kind of belief system and their history, how they came into being and whatnot, because I do have a really sweet friend who came from a Jehovah's Witness family. So I kind of want to know what it was like for her growing up. She's coming to our Bible study now, and I just love her. So I want to kind of know what her life was like growing up. So I started reading Kingdom of the Cults to kind of learn about Jehovah's Witness history. And this is obviously not from Jehovah's Witness perspective. I probably should read something from their perspective, but that's easy to do. They have like a really intense web presence. They're very like techie. I feel like Jehovah's Witnesses are way more techie than like say Christians. But anyways, so I started reading this and it was really interesting. Some of the stuff that he was saying, like he quotes the Brooklyn Daily Eagle magazine newspaper, which apparently had a feud with the founder of Jehovah's Witness. So which Jehovah's Witnesses at the time, their name was, and maybe is still, I don't know, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. And it was begun by Charles Taze Russell, who basically this newspaper accused him of basically starting this society in order to make money. It was like a hustle, you know, basically a scheme to make money for which nobody held him accountable. Nobody but him had control over the money that he was taking in. And so, for example, they cited this whole story. They covered this whole story of him selling what was called miracle wheat. That's what he called it. And basically Jehovah's Witnesses have said that the proceeds from this miracle wheat, oh my gosh, okay, I have to show you. Okay, there's like we're taking a break. I have to show you yeah, there we go. He is eating our tree. There's these little pink blossoms. Mimosa, that's what it is. It's a mimosa tree. We cut it back this year, but it's really fluffy. It came back really strong. But there's not a lot of fluffiness yet. It's still kind of... Is he going to do it again? I had to show you guys. Since I'm not vlogging on here anymore, maybe I'll vlog for Red September, which, by the way, Red September is happening in September. Hopefully you're seeing this at the very beginning of September. So if you want to join us, there is a live stream that will have already happened on my channel. So I'll link my live stream in the description down below so that you can check that out if you're interested. Anyways, where was I? Kingdom of the Cults. So Charles Russell was trying to sell this miracle wheat. It was proven through the government's tests that the miracle wheat did not actually produce the amount of wheat that he claimed. He said, my miracle wheat produces 5 times the amount of wheat as like a normal stock, you know, a wheat plant. And you know, that wasn't true. You know, the government tested it. That wasn't true. Those claims were false. And so the newspaper published those findings, and then Russell sued the newspaper for publishing those findings. And he said, they're slandering me. It's libel. He called it libel. So yeah, it was really interesting. Kind of, he lost the lawsuit that he started because everything that he was saying was basically a lie. So basically he's a con man, this guy who started the Jehovah's Witnesses, according to Kingdom of the Cults. And I did look up the newspaper, and yes, that is what the newspaper said. It's like an obituary article on Russell is where they published like the whole story, and I did find it online. So yeah, I can also include that down below if you're interested in that newspaper. Super interesting. Yeah, who knows what he did with that money, right? So Kingdom of Cults, an interesting read so far. I don't know how much more I will continue it, because my friend has said she's not actually a Jehovah's Witness and isn't interested in being one. So I don't know if I really need to learn a lot about it, because it's not like we're going to be... We might talk about it, I don't know, but I don't know how interested she is in talking about it. So we'll see. I'll try and read some more, but anyways, when I've read some more this month, I will come back and tell you some more about it, including my TBR. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hi there, guys. It is now Saturday, August 17th, and I finished 2 more books. I'm guessing I will finish at least 1 more, hopefully 2 more. We'll see. Before the end of the month. But I had to update you because I finally finished Words of Radiance. Yay. This I've been reading for literally half of the year at this point. It's so intense, like starting somewhere around the middle, that I was having trouble reading it at night because it was like too exciting, you know? This has historically been my favorite book, but sometimes my favorite books in the series kind of change around depending on the reread. So we'll see what happens. I really did enjoy this, but it is like agonizing to read because my favorite character is just sort of he's like hesitating at the edge of a decision that would like ruin his future place in the books. So you're a little bit worried that he might make the wrong decision for him, which is weird to say because for him it's the wrong decision, but for another person it wouldn't necessarily be the wrong decision. It just depends on what order of Radiant he would belong to, if he belonged to the Order of the Radiance, because that's pretty much like the personality indicator in this book is like, which Order of Radiant are you? There's even a test where we can take the Order of Radiance. Which order are we of the Radiance? And I'm pretty sure I was the same thing as Dalinar. But yeah, anyways, there are so many crazy things that happen in Volume 2. It's really, really exciting. I really did enjoy it so much. I have a really long, lengthy, in-depth, detailed review of this on my Goodreads, so you can check it out there if you're interested. It's from when I first read this series, so quite a long time ago. At that time, 5-6 years ago, maybe more, I was really thoroughly reviewing everything I read, you know, and now I'm doing more like chatting about it on BookTube. I'm just not, because at the time I was a writer, you know, I was really trying to become a fantasy writer specifically. Sci-fi writer eventually is where I ended up, but I'm not doing that anymore, so I don't really care about like, sorry, I'm not centered and it's bugging me. I'm not really trying to be analyzing it to the same level that I was. I'm not putting that kind of time into it anymore. So that review is from my heydays of fantasy reviewing, so definitely check that out if you're interested. As you can tell, I had a lot of thoughts. If I can, I would like to continue the series. Would you guys like me to continue the series of going through my notes? I might have time to edit it now because I switched editors for work, video editors, and my new editor, you can go through footage at 2 times speed. So I could edit it maybe like once through. You know, I probably still won't do a lot because I barely have time to put out videos anymore, but yeah. And if you're wondering what I am doing instead of putting out videos, it's working on Korean. It's become a very close second among my hobbies. So I would say reading is still my main hobby currently, but it has taken a backseat to like hanging out with friends. I will 100% always choose hanging out with friends over reading, doing booktube stuff, and I think that's how it should be. I guess I was like 90% introvert when I started this channel, and it was somewhat by circumstance because I just wasn't feeling well. And now I'm not quite an extrovert, I wouldn't say, because I still need time to myself to recharge, and that's where learning Korean comes in for me. It's like pretty much mostly a solo activity, but lately I've been pushing myself to get out and talk to other Korean learners and native speakers, like actually talk. And that's really nerve-wracking, but it's taking a lot of time. Why am I still holding this up? I don't know. So that's kind of what I've been spending a lot of my time on, and no regrets. If I can come out of this time of learning Korean actually fluently speaking another language and having friends who live literally across the world from me, and a total world away culturally, that would be amazing. I might even do videos in Korean. We'll see, because I love watching Korean booktube channels. They're so interesting and so fun. I'm not really advanced enough yet to follow them, but I love watching them anyways. And I want to actually read Korean books. So anyways, that's oh, Kevin's looking in at me through the window. Distraction. Anyways, I'm not going to turn you around to look at him like I would if he was a deer. He probably wouldn't appreciate that. Okay, I'm also like 8% away from finishing the Alloy of Law, so that's the other one that I'm like definitely going to finish before the end of the month. I'm loving it so much. I also am probably going to finish the 11th medal. Yeah, I'll probably finish the 11th medal. Hopefully I'll also finish Edge Dancer because I've already started Oathbringer. Anyways, I won't talk about all my currently reading because that will take this video like over the 2-hour mark instead of the 1-hour mark. Okay, next, I also finished Sociopath by Patric. I have no idea how you pronounce her name. Gagne. Okay, I don't know. So I was calling her Patrice, like on my work video. I ran across this because of my work. And I was like, Patrice! No, it's not Patrice, it's Patric. This was interesting. I am not a psychologist. There's a lot of people questioning her credibility, questioning her PhD, definitely questioning her credibility, I can see, because she is basically like, I am a liar. Like, she says it. That's part of being a sociopath, apparently, is you don't really have a moral compass the way other people do. You might believe some things are right and wrong, but they're very personal. You don't subscribe to other people's point of view. Like, if somebody leaves their purse unattended, the sociopath, if they're at all curious what's in the purse, they will check. They will look with no qualms. They won't feel guilty about it. Her bad behavior most often seems to be breaking into people's houses while they're gone, sleeping in their beds, having sex in the houses with her boyfriend. She doesn't break or steal anything. If it is, it's small. But it just gives her like a release, some kind of that keeps her from doing like worse behavior. So I don't know, there's questions. Like, I saw one review that was like, she could actually just be autistic, like with some of the things she's describing. But yeah, it was really interesting and incredibly scary to know that there really are people, was it like 10 or 20% of the population or something, that kind of has this similar struggles to what she has. She got her PhD specifically because she couldn't find any materials about being a sociopath. So being a sociopath is not the term that is currently used anymore in medicine. There's like psychopath, and then there's antisocial personality disorder, and she's like, no, sociopaths are a real thing. And that's why she got her degree, was basically so that she could learn about how to control her urges to do bad behavior. So I thought it was really interesting to see from her perspective. It does feel over sensationalized. Like, I really can't trust a lot of what she says. It just seems like, for example, in college, her drug of choice, as far as keeping her bad impulses under control. Impulse control is a major problem. Learning from mistakes is a problem. They just keep doing them over and over. Those are things that sociopaths, according to her definition, struggle with. She, in college, would love to just go to parties and watch people watch, basically, because she didn't have any emotions, but she kind of wished that she did. And so she would watch other people to kind of pick up social cues and learn how to mask and stuff like that. And so there was this drunk guy, apparently, who at one point just gave her his keys and told her, go buy me some chips. And so she took his keys and took his nice car for a joyride and then brought him back the chips and the keys. And I was like, 1000%, that is not how it happened. She absolutely stole his keys and went for a drive in his car, because then she says, that became my new favorite thing to do. I would steal the keys of drunk frat boys and take or at least drunk frat people. I don't know if it was always boys. She only mentioned boys, but she could have done it to girls too. I don't know. But that wouldn't be as sympathetic to steal a girl's car, I would imagine. So she mentioned only boys. I feel like that was my problem with this. She was trying to kind of keep herself somewhat sympathetic. She didn't share any really tons of illegal stuff that would really get her in trouble. She didn't share any details that would get her in trouble with the law. She just describes a lot of trespassing and borrowing. Yeah, really troubling stuff. And it's not it was just troubling. It was troubling the way she described it, because she's like, I like me. I like being the way I am. I just don't want it to turn into violence. Basically, she's fine with most of her behavior. She just doesn't want it to turn into violence. So it was interesting hearing from her point of view, but also probably somewhat self-serving. So I am not a mental health professional, so I have no idea. Her whole point in writing this was, there are other people out there like me who can't find any materials to help them, escape their bad impulses, and I think there should be material out there for them, and that's why I wrote this book. I wrote it for the young me who was searching for answers. And she's saying there is such a thing as a sociopath. Psychopath is the highest on the scale, and sociopathic traits are basically middle and lower parts of the scale, I think is how she described it. And she said there's a whole lot of people who are in the middle who are really struggling with these things. So interesting hypothesis. It could just become part of the pop culture now understanding, because I don't think there's somebody, what did they say? Somebody wrote a really good point about it. They were it's 1% science, 85% very odd mean girl anecdotes, 14% possibly true memoir. And I think that's a pretty accurate breakdown. So yeah, it was a good, interesting, entertaining read. It was very easy to listen to because it was written like a movie script, which is kind of how you're she says in the beginning that, some things are changed because she's trying to protect identities and stuff like that. But anyways, I did enjoy it. I don't know what I would rate it. I don't know if I believe it. I don't know. Well, anyways, it was interesting though. So that's all that I finished so far. So I'll come back to you with some more at the end of the month, and probably my TBR as well. Bye. Hello there, guys. It is now Saturday, August 31st, and I'm trying out a new lighting situation. So hopefully it looks okay. We'll see on the backside of it. But my shelves are also a mess because for my chore every week, I've been working on my shelves. So, but I have to stop when my body tells me to stop. So I'm just halfway through the job still. So anyways, let's jump into it. I finished so many more things this month. I don't feel like I'm in a great reading period. I feel like I'm a bit slumpy, honestly. But I'm reading a lot and I'm enjoying a lot of it. So I don't know. I think audiobooks are life right now. Yeah. So okay, let's jump into it. So what have I finished since we last talked? Attack on Titan, Volume 14. Let me pull that up for you. So this was a buddy read with Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia. We're buddy reading this series together because it's a little bit violent for both of us, but we wanted to read it together. One of her friends, IRL friends, really loves Attack on Titan. So she really wanted to read it so she could talk about it with that friend. And a lot of my friends are fans of this, so I'm excited to be reading it. Volume 14, this is such a great cover. Wow, great cover. There were some exciting things that happened in this. Not gonna lie, every volume I'm kind of excited about. I would say Tiffany loved this volume. Like, she had a lot to talk about. And I more had a lot to talk about. The last volume, Volume 13, was like, there was so much. I took like 20 screenshots of it. So we're still discussing that one because I have so many screenshots. But anyways, regardless, was excited to move on to this. We'll probably read Volume 15 this coming month in September. We'll see. Next, I finished Romans, finally. It took me a long time because I kept going back and rereading. And anyways, I was reading this for a read along that Faith is doing of all of Paul's letters, and they're way ahead of me. So I just decided, okay, I'm just going to read Romans, and that's fine. I kind of want to memorize it, honestly. I want to memorize parts of it. I don't know why I'm like, I can memorize a whole language, but scripture memory is really hard. I think the language is really difficult. Like, scriptural language is really difficult. It also changes depending on what Bible. Oh, excuse me, that might be happening. I have a new Korean app and the noise is so cute. Did you hear that noise? That is like super, super cute. Oh, weird. Okay. Anyways, we're sharing a Google Doc, one of my Korean friends. And I thought I gave her editor access, but she said she doesn't have editor access. So that happens to me a lot. I'm like, I thought I gave that and then I didn't. So anyway, I'll have to do that. But anyways, so we're sharing a Google Doc so that we can buddy read things together and then meet and discuss them. I have a real Korean buddy reader friend, guys. And Yoon and I too are gonna we're playing in webtoons. We're playing in some webtoons. So it's really exciting, but I don't talk with Yoon in Korean. So this is my first Korean friend that I'm buddy reading with in Korean. So I'm reading an article with her about China right now. She's really interested in China and I'm interested in what she's interested in because that's how I am. If my friends are interested in something, I'm like, I want to learn about it too. So anyways, if that happens again, it might happen again. You might hear that noise a lot today. I've gotten a lot of messages today because right now is like a good time in Korea. It's like, so it's 3:25 p.m. here. It's 7:25 a.m. there. And actually this friend is in Bermuda. She's not even in Korea. So anyways, moving on. Sorry, that was a distraction. I finished Romans, the whole thing again. I've read it multiple times in the past, obviously. I've read through the whole Bible before. And now I'm restarting doing that again. I'm starting a chronological plan. So now I'm in Joshua. I restarted at Joshua because last time I was doing the whole Bible reading thing through the Bible in 1 Year app. I listened all the way into like 2 Samuel. But listening to the Bible, I just don't get as much out of it. I would rather read a little bit slowly than a lot quickly. That's just how I am. But not always. Sometimes I like listening to the Bible. Like the Bible in 1 Year app is great because it comes with a commentary. So if you miss anything while you're listening to the Bible, they'll usually talk about it in the commentary. And it's like, oh yeah, that happened too. I forgot. So anyways, that's a totally fine way to do it. I know people who literally listen to the whole Bible and that's how they do their Bible reading, and that's totally fine. But I tend to get more out of it, even if I have to go really slowly, at least some of the time, taking a breather, studying it more in depth. And I'm already studying multiple books in depth, aside from my personal reading. So it's a full-time job. Reading the Bible is a full-time job, but it's great. I'm reading Revelation again with a friend, and we're reading through it really quickly. So we'll be finishing another read of Revelation here really soon for me. That I read it. I think I finished it last month, I think it was in my last month's wrap up or this month's earlier. wrap up. But yeah, anyways. So I'm reading a lot of the Bible, but Paul spits bars in Romans 12. I really think I'm going to have to memorize it. I've memorized parts of it before because it's like impossible not to. It's so good. So Romans is Paul's magnum opus. Very systematic, very theological. Listen to this. In fact, is there a way I can like read it? No, I don't think I can. I have to. Sorry. I wanted to hold it up so that you could read it along with me, but no. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God, for it is written, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink, for by doing so you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. I have a friend right now who's going through something like this where it's like she would love to repay evil with evil, but she's not going to do it because she's a Christian, and that would not be a very Christ-like thing to do. So, love you, friend. You know who you are. Anyways, moving on. Romans. Definitely go read Romans. Such an amazing book. Wow. It's so good. My new favorite book. Every time I'm reading a book, though, in the Bible, it's like, this is my favorite book. Anyways. Next, the Kamagawa Food Detectives. I have it in the pile here. That's why I'm filming today. Not only is it the 31st, but I'm bringing these all back to the library. This was so cute. So this is a food related cozy mystery. So basically people show up at this restaurant and they say, there was this meal I had, when I was 6 or something. Could you recreate it? Could you find out where the restaurant was? Like, what restaurant was it? I want to, try it again. Some like stories like that. There's like 6 stories, I think, something like that, 5, of these people show up to this restaurant, and it's a Japanese translated book. So it's set in Japan, and these people show up and they describe the food as much detail as they can remember, which usually isn't much. And then the person running the restaurant, who used to be a detective for the police department, he needs like 2 weeks, and then he tracks down the food, like without fail. It's super fun. It's super cozy, super foodie. This was like a bonus read for Tiffany's Patreon. Normally we read a book every other month, and then on the months we're not reading a book together, we discuss our favorite things that we read over the last 2 months. But this was a bonus book, and it was so good. It was so fun. Yeah, I would recommend this for sure. There's like 6 more books in the series or something. Stephanie told us there's a bunch more. And I'm so glad about it. But only the second one is being translated so far into English. So let's support it so that all of them get translated. It was a bit repetitive, I have to admit, but I don't care. I loved it anyways. That's how a lot of us felt, I think, while we were reading it. We were like, this is so good. And then on the other side of it, we were like, there was flaws. It wasn't like a perfect book, but who really cares? It was so fun. It was like exactly the thing. It was just the thing. Okay, next. The 11th Medal. This is Arcanum Unbounded. Wow, okay. This is one problem with filming in this location is the window. Yeah, it's very... Yeah, Arcanum Unbounded. This is a book of like short, like novellas, short stories, and it's basically novellas and short stories that Brandon Sanderson wrote to supplement some of his other work. Some of them are standalone. The 11th Medal is not a standalone. It was a story that he wrote to go along with, I think, a Mistborn RPG game. So it's part of the Mistborn series, which is why I'm reading it, because Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia is hosting a read-along of all the Mistborn books. I just realized you probably can't hear me. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's a crazy character in here. But I think, I don't know if maybe, I don't, yeah, I really enjoyed it. You know why he's crazy. It makes complete sense. It was really fun anyways. We're learning about, it's like a training story for one of the famous characters in the Mistborn series. He is being trained, which is something we never saw in the original series. He's being trained by somebody who is like absolutely bonkers, like keeps trying to kill him and be like, this is part of your training. Survive, you know? Survive with your magical powers or die. So anyways, really, really entertaining, and I enjoyed it. So yeah. Keep going. No rules tonight. Okay. This was an arc that I was reading by Ryan. It's by Ryan Estrada. This one's actually illustrated by him. I didn't realize this, but the original was actually illustrated by a Korean author, illustrator, which totally makes sense. That was their goal. They wanted a Korean illustrator to illustrate Banned Book Club. This is the second book, following some of the same characters. And it was not the same thing at all. Like at the beginning, I thought it was going to be, because the setting is really interesting in the beginning. Like the concept, the setting was really interesting. The concept, I didn't really like how it was pulled off, unfortunately. But the setting, he starts it off by saying, yeah, there's been this curfew for Korea for like 40 years or something, like where you couldn't go out past a certain time of night, but it's just been lifted. So Kim Hyun-suk's generation is being allowed outside for the first time, and their parents never had that privilege at night. So they have these new freedoms, and they decide to spend it, like her school club decides to go on a trip to the mountains, and there's some like comedy elements to it, like they forget food, and so everybody who brings food just brings bags of potatoes, you know, so there's some funny stuff that happens. And I did learn about water deer from this, which I really enjoyed. A lot of things go wrong on the trip, but then a lot of them kind of discover themselves on the trip. It's like a self-discovery novel. Very different from the first book. Totally different focus. It's more about developing the characters than it is about the historical situation of the time. Yeah, I rated it kind of low, unfortunately. I don't know if I would recommend it, but I'm apparently the only one that thinks that way. Like on Goodreads, everybody's like 5 stars, 4 stars, and I'm like 2.5, 3 stars. Unfortunately, I just didn't care for the execution of the idea. It is in color, which is really nice. It's in color. The original was in black and white. Apparently there's going to be an anniversary edition of Banned Book Club coming out in color, and I'm so pumped. I'm totally gonna buy it. Yeah, I loved Banned Book Club. Unfortunately, No Rules Tonight didn't hit the same notes for me, but it might for you. So anyways, that is my review of No Rules Tonight. And definitely go check out the live show on my channel that we did for K-Dravathon. There was an interview, a really interesting interview with the author that I did. And he shares like, you know, a lot in that interview that was really interesting. Like, I know nobody believes me, but I didn't write Banned Book Club as a response to the American situation of public schools, you know, pulling certain books off their shelves and stuff. That's not what I was writing about. I was literally writing about this historical situation where the Korean government refused to let anybody read certain books, you know, because they didn't want everybody to know that they weren't living in a democracy. But anyways, yeah, I still love this. I still love Banned Book Club. So anyways, next, the Temple of Fortuna. Okay, let me grab it. I also just did a live show of this today on my channel with Alana Estelle and Miti. Yay. We loved this series. I actually rated it the highest. I rated it a 5-star series, even though this was a 4-star book. I just loved it so much. So this book, something happens in this book that if you know about the series, you've been waiting the whole series to see if something is going to happen. And in this book, yeah, this is when like at least half of the book is devoted to like what we've been waiting for throughout the series. So, yeah, really enjoyed this. It was really different. A lot of the cast was really different. But it was really good. It was everything that I wanted from the finish. Totally. And I can't wait for the next book. The next book is coming out exactly a year from now. Not in this series, but it does involve one of the same characters, but it's set before the series and it's in like totally different places. So the first book in the series is set on Pompeii in a Roman brothel. And we're following the women from that brothel for the first 2 books. And that's mostly what the first 2 books are about. And particularly, we're following one character named Amara, who makes like all kinds of like decisions, but you like also like, how else could she have done it? Like, there isn't really a better way, a better choice for her. You know, sometimes the way she does it, we're kind of like, Alana, not Alana. Did I say Alana? I meant Amara. I kept doing this on the live show too, calling Amara Alana. Anyways, so good. I loved this series. I need to read more historical fiction. I need to read Hilary Mantel. I've been wanting to for forever. Ever since Jenny recommended it to me, but she said it's not the place like to start with historical fiction. But honestly, I kind of want to start there because Alana just recommended it to me today. Yeah, this was super, super good. Highly recommend if you can handle morally gray characters, difficult situations. Like, there's a lot of rape, sexual assault happening, but it's mostly not on the page. Like, it's like hinted, it's said that it happens, but it's later, you know, it's like respectful. You're not in the room. It's like fade to black. It's very respectful. It's not like, you know, Coho level of. The most graphic thing about the book is honestly the language that the women use in book 1, because they're in a brothel, and so they use the F word a lot because that's what's happening to them. They're being effed. So yeah, but the next books, the language is way toned down, and you're mainly, yeah, it changes throughout the set. The settings change and the characters change, and it's really that each book is a little bit different, I would say, for sure. But great in their own ways. Okay, next, my Antonia. This, sadly, I DNF'd officially. I wanted to go back and give it another shot because Tiffany loved it. So many people I know loved it. I don't know why it's not for me. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my notes. Unfortunately, I really wanted to love this. If I had done a 5-star predictions list, this would have been on it because I've loved the other 2 books that I read by Willa Cather. But this one, there's no hook. There's just no hook. Like, death comes for the Archbishop. Hooked, right? Death is coming. Oh, Pioneers. Like, you're so drawn into the survival of this woman and her farm in a time when women running a farm is not like the norm. Hooked, right? Hooked. So hooked. Easy to like follow on audiobook. I really enjoyed the other 2 a lot. This one, while it is beautifully written, like I marked a couple spots where I was like, wow. It's slow. It's like kind of day in the life kind of feeling. I don't know. There's just not much happening. And I didn't really care about the characters because there's not really any story. It's just like a bunch of random people. I don't know. It just wasn't for me at all, unfortunately. So I did read some of it with my eyes just to make sure. Because like, I was like, am I sure that I really want to DNF this? Like, do I want to DNF a Willa Cather? Yes. I decided yes. I've tried it on audio. I've tried it physically. None of it's working. I'm 50% through it, and I don't care. So, there we go. Official DNF, unfortunately. Okay, next, The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in Mistborn Era 2, which, yeah, it's like a... This one is kind of like, it's like a Western. It's kind of like a crazy Western with magic. And it's super zany and fun. and I'm really happy that the people reading it along with me are enjoying it. Like, it's super fun. I love the humor. Yeah. What else can I say about it? I think I rated most of these books 4 stars, because they don't have like the same level of heights of like emotional investment, I guess I would say, as the original series for me. And they're not as long. They're like quick, like refreshing breathers in between the really long Mistborn books. So it's like, gosh, my hair keeps sticking to my neck. I think it's just hot. Sorry about that. I'm a hot mess today. Yeah, super fast paced, funny. So this is following a duo named Wax and Wayne. Yes, Wax and Wayne are their names. And they're, how do we even describe this? I really can't really describe this. I don't know. There are some bad guys stealing women, basically kidnapping women. And there's a reason these guys used to live out in the roughs, and they were the sheriffs in the roughs. But now they have moved to the city life, and Wax is he's the main character. He's trying to become someone different. He's trying to run his father's sort of empire, his house, and his businesses, instead of being a sheriff. And Wayne, his buddy, is still like, you should do both, because we still need you as sheriff. You are too good. Like, your powers are so perfect. Like, why are you giving up on this part of your life? You don't need to. But Wax is like, no, I'm gonna get married. Like, but then these kidnappings start happening, and you just see them getting drawn in. And I don't want to give you any spoilers, so that's probably where I'm gonna end it. But you do get introduced to this really wonderful female character that I really enjoy, and everybody really enjoys her, named Steris. And her dynamic with Wax is really, really funny. And Wayne is, I enjoy Wayne a lot. A lot of people think Wayne's humor is a little bit more annoying than it is funny, I think. But I think it's funny. I think Wayne's funny. Okay. Usually. Some of his jokes don't hit, but they don't bother me, so I just keep reading. You know, I'm not like, there's like, 20 jokes, and, 10 of them hit and 10 of them didn't. I don't really care. The ones that are funny, and if they're not funny, it's like, whatever, I'm just gonna keep going. So, anyways. Okay, that's all. That is all that I finished. I did, however, DNF one more thing. Let me talk about that. Snowpiercer, The Escape, Volume 1. This is the graphic novel that inspired Snowpiercer. If you've seen that, there's like a show and a movie, and I really want to see the show because my friend Danielle recommended it. This wasn't bad, but I can tell it wasn't written like anytime recently. The female character, like the one female character, is really like cringy, honestly. And I don't really care for the art style. Like, the language is a bit rough. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I can tell when a book is written for a man and not for a woman. And this is like one of those books. Not that women couldn't enjoy it, but I am not usually the type of woman who enjoys a book that's written for a man. I usually like books that are written for everyone, not just men. Like I said, not to say that women can't enjoy this, but like, I feel like it's really men are the target audience, in my opinion. Maybe that's because it was men who were reading graphic novels when this was published. I don't know. I'm totally making a snap judgment about it. I have not researched it at all. Yeah, it's black and white. Don't really care. Written by Jacques Lob. Art by Jean-Marc Rochette. Translated by Virginia Salavi. So I don't know where this was published originally. France? Anyway, I do want to watch the show because the concept is interesting. Like, I was really gripped by like the first page. There's a cool concept. It's set on a train that never stops moving. It's running on a frozen planet. Whatever planet this is on. I have a guess which planet it's on. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, it's been going for like, I don't know how many years, but a lot, like decades. This train's just been running for decades, but it's starting to slow down, and people are like, why is it slowing down? And outside, the frozen planet is like inhospitable. You can't really survive there. And somebody from the back of the train, which is like, nobody goes back there unless they're, poor. Basically, he escapes to the front of the plane, where all front of the train, where all the luxury seating is. And I have a feeling that I just have this strong feeling that probably the end, I have an idea of what's going to happen at the end of this. And I just wasn't compelled enough to keep going, unfortunately. Not to say this is bad. I'm just trying to broaden my horizons, stretch myself, and read things out of my comfort zone. So, okay. Next, let's talk about my TBR. I'm in the middle of a lot of things, and I have a lot of plans for Red September. If you saw the TBR Talk live stream, you probably already know what I'm planning to read. But I have started Black Girl from Pyongyang, and so far it's really interesting. So Monica Macias is the daughter of one of the first presidents of Equatorial New Guinea. And she is sent by her father to North Korea to military school when she is like 8, I think, along with her siblings. And it's her memoir about her time so far in military school. And I think later on it's going to be like involving Kim Jong-il more, because she's sort of being raised by him at a certain point when her father is assassinated. And it's kind of her journey of realizing what Kim Jong-il is really like for the rest of the world. He's not like a fatherly figure who raised her to the rest of the world. And her father also, she's coming to the realization that her father also did some things that are not great. So it's really interesting hearing her personal experience of like two very controversial political figures. So yeah, this was published really recently in English, but it's been out in Korea for a while, like since 2008, I think. Sorry, I keep leaning away. So it was published here in 2023. No, the paperback was published in 2024, but it was originally published in 2023. I don't remember when it was published in Korea, but anyways, so far, so good. Interested. So Red September is a readathon where we are exploring communist history, which obviously includes North Korean history. My dear friend Hope, who runs and began Families Together, or the Neighbor program, which is now the name, and it's like the original name and it's the now name. They're in between. It was called something else, Families Together, but now it's the Neighbor program. She gave me this. She just read it in one sitting on the plane and said it was super good. So I'm excited. My Korean friend, who is just cacao talking me, I don't know what those are called, tok, I don't know. She just read Foster by Claire Keegan. So apparently I need to try some Claire Keegan. I might start with Foster because Hope has read that one as well, and then move on to this one. It's super short. So we'll see if I can get to that this month. Let's see what else. Okay, hang on. My camera is going to die in a second, so I might have to switch this up. Or maybe I can just speed through it. The Perilous Guard by Elizabeth Marie Pope for Tudor-Tember and for Emma's Book Club. I will be reading that hopefully for the first time. The Age of Arrogance, which is a webtoon, which I'm currently reading because my friend Sarah, who I do reading sprints on this channel with, Jenny's IRL friend, she recommended the Age of Arrogance webtoon, which is a Korean webtoon, and the art is gorgeous. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm interested. I'm on like episode 5 now, I think, because I'm slow. Next, The Soviet Union, A Very Short Introduction by Stephen Lovell. I just got that from the library, super excited. And then I have like so many other things I'd love to read for Red September. Okay, hang on. I have written down here Kim Jong-il Production by Paul Fisher, because Ryan Estrada, the author of No Rules Tonight and Banned Book Club, he recommended this one as like a great book if you're interested in North Korea. It's about some kind of movie that was produced in North Korea. So it kind of follows the production of the movie, I think. Should be interesting. He was like, that's the one I would recommend out of all of the books. And then We by Yevgeny Zamyatin, which might be a buddy read that Tiffany and I do, but I'm not sure now if she's going to have time. We'll have to see. She is going to be super busy in September. So it might be just an Attack on Titan kind of month. A Russian Journal by John Steinbeck. There's some photographs in it, and I love Steinbeck's writing, so this would be great for Red September. Oh yeah, these are, by the way, did I say these are for Red September? The Commissar Vanishes, which is it's about the falsification of photographs and art in Stalin's Russia, which is amazing because right now I'm listening to a podcast about Stalin by Sharon Says So, who is just amazing. Man of Steel, Stalin, Man of Steel. That's what it's called. Let me bring it to the top so you can see it. Her podcast is Here's Where It Gets Interesting, which is very like history focused, and normally I actually don't listen to it because I'm a terrible person. I would like to listen to it more often, but I think, yeah, it's like a long series. She's on episode 8 so far. That might be the end of it. But anyways, really enjoying her series on Stalin. She's quite a bit farther along now in the Russian Revolution than I am, but I am still reading History of the Russian Revolution. I'm reading chapter 25 right now, I think. So I'm behind. I need to keep going. But what else? Red Rosa, a graphic biography of Rosa Luxemburg, which is recommended to me by Tony. He really highly recommended this and said she's one of his heroes, so I would love to learn about her. The Gulag Archipelago, I think volume 1 Faith is still going to be reading, but if not, we'll start volume 2. There's a book that Peg mentioned on our live stream. I need to get the title because all I remember is that Overthrow was in the title. But I need to get that so I can read it. I told her, I'm going to read that. It sounded so good. What was it about? I don't remember. The Girl from the Metropole Hotel. Penny mentioned that one to me. I really want to get to that one. Letter to the Soviet Leaders by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Super interested in that one. And Soviet Defectors, the KGB Wanted List. So those are kind of what I have going on. I have some other stuff that I would love to get to, but we'll see. I did find a copy of The Gabriel Hounds by Mary Stewart at a coffee shop. So definitely planning to read that if I can fit it in. We'll see if I have time. I probably won't this month, but now that I own it, it doesn't matter. I can just read it whenever I want. Let's see, what else do I have out from the library that I want to read? Oh yeah, The Girl Who Kept the Castle. I wanted to finish that before filming this, but I didn't get a chance. I have like 5% or something left of it. And I'm really enjoying it. It's perfect for lovers of Howl, honestly. Howl's Moving Castle. I also have the double that I would love to finish if I get a minute. I'm working on Squire by Tamora Pierce. I'm almost finished with Dark Sacred Night by Michael Connolly with Kevin. I'm reading the story about Lift in Arcanum Unbounded. What's it called? Pancakes? I don't know what it's called. I don't remember. I'm in the middle of How Do You Live by Genzaburo Yoshino. I'm like very close to finishing that. I'm like 20% left. The Agony of Eros by Byung Chul Han. I would love to read that one too. I just took out Knife by Salman Rushdie, which is about being stabbed, his experience of being stabbed. And then I think I'm going to have time to listen to Snow Globe. I've been wanting to read this for months. I'm super excited to try it. Who knows if I'll like it? I don't normally read thrillers. And honestly, I haven't really enjoyed Korean thrillers in general. Like I've tried watching them. And I didn't enjoy them. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I love it. We'll see. That is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below what your favorite thing that you read in August was and what you're excited about reading in September, especially if you have a Red September TBR. I would love to hear it. Take care until next time. Bye.